Yama, the Master of Pacts, is a new boss arriving in just a few days' time. This will be old school RuneScape's second duo focused boss and is designed to be a challenging endgame style fight, with its baseline difficulty set to surpass that of the Forgotten 4 Desert Treasure 2 bosses. Although, the difficulty can be cranked up even further with his contract system, which offers even greater challenges and rewards. And of course, with its release comes a bunch of new items, so in this video, I'm going to go over and unpack everything you need to know before Yama arrives. Yama is located in the Chasm of Fire on the island of Great Kourend, around halfway between the Chambers of Xeric and Kourend Castle, and in order to gain access to him, you must have completed the Kingdom Divided quest. He is a 7x7 fire demon, but it's unclear whether he will have any elemental weakness or not, although one thing that JMods have confirmed is that no regular Slayer task should work at Yama. Other than that, the fight has been kept mostly under wraps, so there is still a lot yet to be revealed. We can assume it'll have melee elements within the fight as Yama drops a new melee set of armor, and history will tell us that in the past, the armor drops from the boss is typically best in slot there, so that's not too much of a stretch to assume. And given it's a demon, I'm guessing the recently released Tormented Synapse equipment could also come in handy. Could it have some hybrid elements? Yama does drop a magic focused weapon, so this could be on the cards and wouldn't surprise me. However, one aspect of the fight that we do have more information on is the contract system. The contract mechanic allows players to opt into more difficult encounters in exchange for enhanced rewards. These contracts can significantly alter the dynamics of the fight and should make the fight feel more challenging and balance that risk versus reward. If you want to have somewhat of a relaxing fight, take the base level fight, but if you want to earn the most money, crank that difficulty up by signing a harder contract. The team has clarified that this won't be an invocation style system, in that the changes won't be minor and incremental, but instead you sign one contract and face a fundamentally changed encounter. They have further clarified that these contracts can't be stacked, so you can't mix and match contracts as you could do so with the invocations in the Tombs of Amaska. Personally, I'm really excited to see how the contract system pans out and how it will differ to the other types of Togglescape fights that we've seen previously. Will the system extend further than player debuffs you see in the Colosseum and affect things like death costs? Will it stop you from teleporting out? Who knows? With all that covered, let's move on to the shiny bits, the rewards. First up is an upgrade to the Death Charge spell. This upgrade enhances the spell by allowing players to gain special attack energy from not one, but two enemies per cast, so a total of 30%, 15% from each of the two procs. For a single NPC boss fights, nothing really changes, you can still only get the benefit once. However, its true strength comes from the multi-NPC fights like Kefri and Maiden. It doesn't look as if this will be a tradable drop, but more like the prayer scrolls drop from the Royal Titans. You use the item and permanently buff the spell. This reward should tie in quite nicely with the rest of the rewards from Yama, and next up is the Cosmic Catalyst. This is a tradable drop requiring 90 runecrafting to use, which allows the creation of a new combination rune, the Ether rune, a combination of cosmic and soul runes. So this will save you an inventory slot when you're also using thralls. Yama's next reward is a Demonic Tallow, which when combined with a Torsil or Torsil Unfinished potion, and potentially some of the player's blood, creates a new consumable potion. The Surge Potion. This untradable potion requires 81 Herblore to make and restores 25% of your special attack energy per sip, but has a 5-minute cooldown per sip. But don't worry, if you're a speedrunner, the JMods have confirmed that the cooldown will reset in all of the same places as items like the Imbued Heart, using a pool in your POH, entering and leaving a raid, and so on. Before we finally move on to the equipment rewards, the last consumable drop is the Diabolic Worms. These increase the rate at which players catch anglerfish, so hopefully, Irons can top up their supply faster, and the mains will see some cheaper anglerfish from now on. Now on to the big drops. With Yama's release, he introduces two significant equipment pieces, the first of which is the Soul Flame Horn. It requires 80 magic to use and has some not so impressive stats, but it's the weapon's special attack where its true value lies. This is the first of a kind weapon for old school, as it can directly buff you and other players for a short period of time. Its special attack causes your allies within 2 tiles to have the accuracy of their next melee hit splat, including special attacks, within the next 6 seconds to be increased by 100%. If the target is an NPC, the boosted hit splat always hits. Additionally, applying this effect to an ally will also apply it to you, and that applies to Irons. They can also benefit from the boost within certain content for now. It costs 25% special attack energy per player affected, so essentially this is hard capped at 4 players in most situations, as it would then use 100% of your special attack energy if not accounting for yourself, which is the 5th player. The team has also mentioned that this buff will only apply to you if it affects an ally, so no free hits for solo players. They've mentioned this themselves, but this will be particularly handy for landing defense reduction attacks at the start of fights, which should enable some more consistent run times for raids and boss kills alike. They've also noted that this will only apply for the first hit splat, so you'll essentially have a weakened effect for weapons such as Crystal Halberds with its multi-hit special attack. No doubt a spec like this will switch up the meta for speedrunners, but will also no doubt require some extra coordination to maximise its effect. Given it's a 2 tile radius, this is actually quite large when you think of it. It ends up being a 5x5 square, so you're not going to be forced to DD, for example. I can imagine there being some insane combinations you could pull off with it. Just in the Tombs of Amascut alone, combining this with an adrenaline potion with its special attack can in theory affect 8 people? Could this switch up the ZCB spec meta? Could we see a rise of a melee spec weapon mastery? I think it could be possible. In the end, when you at least consider some of the shorter duration fights like Tekton, you're only really reducing his defense down to a point where it makes more sense to do so, over for example, just specking with D-claws. But no doubt we will find out when the speedrunners crank out those numbers. Now the last unique equipment drop is the Oathplate armor, originally polled as the Soul armor. This new armor set serves as a side grade to Torva, offering a plus 38 slash accuracy over Torva, but in return sacrifices 7 melee strength with its use. Essentially the same strength bonus as Bando's and Aneta's Not Face Guard, but with a huge slash bonus. The set provides better magic and slash defense than Torva, but is weaker against stab, crush and ranged attacks. Additionally, unlike the Inquisitor's armor set, it provides no negative melee attack bonuses for stab and crush. You can obtain the Oathplate armor pieces through 2 means. The first is the traditional drop style, in that you kill the boss, and on death he drops an armor piece. The other is through crafting it with the Oathplate shards, which can also drop from Yama. When you combine these with a new ore that's obtained only from the Chasm of Fire, you can craft your own Oathplate armor pieces. And then to top all of this off, is that a cosmetic variant of the armor will also be obtainable, more than likely through the most challenging contract that Yama has to offer. A nice flex to add to your Sanguine Torva set, if you are lucky enough and can afford it. Now I do believe that Torva will still reign supreme as the most sought after armor set. After all, the Oathplate armor set is still mostly useful for where targets have a higher defense. But in a world of defense reduction special attacks, is it really going to be that useful outside of Yama itself? It will certainly see some use at TOB, but I can't think of anywhere else where it could be game changing. And lastly, for the pet hunters out there, of course, a new pet to add to your collection. Now when you consider almost every drop here, buff to the spec gain from Death Charge, an invent save for Death Charge, spec gain from the Surge Potion, guaranteed hit from a Soul Flame Horn. My take home thought is that the value of spec weapons is now increasing within fights and raids, and as a consequence of that, their price. Thankfully, I've managed to make enough gold that I now have all of the spec weapons, but if you're considering getting some more in the near future, give it some thought based on this update. So that's everything that I have to share on Yama. Have I missed anything? Do you have any insights to share? Let me know in the comments below, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.